Money is one of the most talked about subjects in the world. We spend years learning how to earn more of it, how to save it wisely, how to invest it successfully, and how to build lasting wealth. Books, podcasts, videos, and financial experts constantly teach us how to increase our income and grow our net worth. Yet one of the most important financial skills is rarely discussed. Once you have earned the money, once you have saved it and invested it, do you actually know how to spend it in a way that genuinely improves your life? Surprisingly, the answer to that question often determines whether money becomes a source of freedom or a source of frustration. At first glance, spending money seems incredibly simple. You see something you want, you pay for it, and then you enjoy it. That is how most people think about spending. However, Morgan Housel reveals that every purchase is far more complex than it appears. Spending is not merely a financial transaction. It is also an emotional, psychological, and social decision. Every dollar we spend reflects our fears, our ambitions, our insecurities, our habits, and the way we see ourselves. Behind every purchase lies a deeper motivation that often goes unnoticed. When we buy something, we usually believe we are paying only for the object itself. In reality, we are often purchasing a feeling. We buy comfort when life feels overwhelming. We buy security when the future seems uncertain. We buy luxury when we crave recognition. We buy expensive possessions because we hope they will make us feel more successful, more respected, or more confident. Behind a luxury car, a designer outfit, or a larger home, there is often a much deeper emotional need than simply owning another material possession. This is exactly where money can become dangerous. Not because spending is wrong, but because spending without awareness can quietly control our lives. Money, when used wisely, can improve our health, strengthen our relationships, give us more time with the people we love, reduce stress, and create unforgettable experiences. The problem begins when we spend without understanding the real reason behind our decisions. As long as we fail to recognize our true motivations, we risk confusing temporary satisfaction with lasting fulfillment. Many people believe that earning more money will finally solve all their problems. They imagine that a higher income will eliminate financial anxiety forever. They tell themselves that once they reach a certain level of wealth, they will finally feel secure, relaxed, and completely happy. Yet reality often tells a different story. As income increases, desires tend to increase as well. Lifestyle expands, but inner peace often remains exactly where it was before. More money does not automatically create greater contentment. The possessions we once dreamed of owning quickly become ordinary. The luxury car loses its excitement after a few months. The dream house slowly becomes just another house. The latest phone no longer feels special once a newer model appears. The excitement fades, and a new desire quietly takes its place. Without realizing it, many people enter an endless cycle where every purchase simply creates another craving. They own more than ever before, yet they rarely feel more fulfilled. That is why someone can earn an impressive income and still constantly feel poor. A person may appear incredibly successful to everyone around them while privately living under enormous financial pressure. When our lifestyle is built on comparison, every achievement becomes temporary. There will always be someone with a bigger house, a more luxurious car, a larger investment portfolio, or a lifestyle that looks even more impressive. Chasing appearances becomes a race with no finish line. Morgan Housel reminds us that money is ultimately about behavior rather than mathematics. Financial success is not determined only by numbers in a bank account. It is shaped by our expectations, our emotions, our beliefs, and our understanding of happiness. We often think we know what will make us happy, yet our assumptions are frequently wrong. Some purchases genuinely improve our lives, while others exist only to satisfy our ego or impress the people around us. Understanding that difference changes everything. Spending wisely is not about buying as much as possible, nor is it about refusing to enjoy life. It is about using every dollar intentionally to create greater freedom, deeper peace, stronger relationships, and a more meaningful life. The goal is not to become cheap or afraid of spending money. The real goal is to align every financial decision with your values instead of your fears, your insecurities, or your desire for social approval. Throughout this summary, we will discover why our past silently shapes the way we spend money, how comparison influences our financial decisions, why material pleasure fades so quickly, and how to build a healthier relationship with wealth. Most importantly, we will learn that true richness is not measured by the number of things we own. It is measured by how wisely we use our money to create freedom, peace, meaningful experiences, and a life that feels wealthy not only on the outside, but deep within ourselves. Once you understand that truth, spending money is no longer just a financial activity. It becomes one of the greatest life skills you can ever develop. Your past shapes your purchases. One of the first and most eye-opening lessons in the art of spending money is that the way you spend money today is often determined by the life you lived years ago. Most people assume their financial decisions are based on logic. They believe they compare prices, evaluate quality, and make rational choices. But Morgan Housel argues that our spending habits are shaped far more by our personal history than by pure reason. Our childhood, family environment, financial struggles, and emotional experiences quietly influence almost every purchase we make as adults. Think about the home where you grew up. Was money always available, or was it a constant source of stress? Did your parents worry every month about paying the bills? Were conversations about debt, rent, or unexpected expenses common? Or did you grow up in an environment where financial security seemed normal? Whether you realize it or not, those early experiences became the foundation of your relationship with money. Long before you earned your first paycheck, your mind was already forming beliefs about what money meant. For someone who grew up in poverty, money often represents much more than numbers in a bank account. It symbolizes safety, protection, and survival. If your childhood was filled with financial uncertainty, your brain may continue to associate spending with danger long after your circumstances improve. Even after becoming financially successful, you may still feel anxious every time you make a purchase, constantly fearing that everything you have could disappear overnight. This explains why some wealthy people continue living extremely modest lifestyles despite having more than enough money to enjoy themselves. Others may wonder why they refuse to spend even on things that would genuinely improve their quality of life. The answer is simple. Financial security is not only about income. It is also about emotional memory. The fear created during difficult years often survives long after the financial problems themselves have disappeared. On the other hand, people who grow up in financially comfortable households usually develop a completely different relationship with money. When bills were always paid on time, necessities were never questioned, and comfort felt normal, spending rarely seems threatening. Money feels abundant rather than fragile. While this confidence can be beneficial, it can also create another kind of risk. Some people spend carelessly simply because they never experienced the emotional weight of financial scarcity. There is also another group of people whose relationship with money is shaped by sudden success. Imagine someone who spent years struggling financially before finally receiving a high-paying job, building a successful business, or becoming famous. After years of deprivation, the temptation to spend becomes incredibly strong. They tell themselves, "I've sacrificed for so long. I deserve this." And in many cases, they truly do deserve to enjoy the rewards of their hard work. The danger appears when spending becomes an emotional response instead of a thoughtful decision. Rather than purchasing things because they genuinely improve life, people sometimes buy expensive possessions to prove that their difficult past is finally behind them. Luxury becomes less about enjoyment and more about escaping old pain. Every purchase becomes an attempt to rewrite their personal history instead of building a better future. This is one of Morgan Housel's deepest insights. We do not always spend money for the future we want to create. Very often, we spend money because of the past we are trying to leave behind. Some people overspend because they once had too little. Others refuse to spend because they are terrified of returning to difficult times. Both behaviors are emotional reactions rooted in personal experience rather than present reality. That is why understanding your financial history is so important. Before judging your spending habits, ask yourself where they came from. Why do certain purchases make you feel guilty? Why do you hesitate to spend money on yourself, even when you can easily afford it? Why do you sometimes buy things you never planned to purchase? Why do you feel an urge to prove your success to others? These questions reveal much more than your bank statements ever could. Personal finance is never just about numbers. It is also about emotions, memories, and the meaning money has carried throughout your life. If money once represented fear, you may struggle to enjoy it. If money symbolized social status, you may use it to impress others. If money represented freedom, you may protect it carefully to preserve your independence. Every financial decision carries traces of your personal story. Morgan Housel's message is both simple and liberating. Your past may explain your financial behavior, but it does not have to control your future. The goal is not to blame your parents, your childhood, or your life experiences. The goal is awareness. Once you understand the emotional forces behind your spending, you regain control. You stop reacting automatically and begin making conscious financial choices based on your present values instead of your old fears. Before making your next significant purchase, pause for a moment and ask yourself one powerful question. Am I buying this because it genuinely improves my life? Or because an older version of myself is still searching for security, approval, or healing? That single question marks the beginning of wise spending. The moment you recognize the hidden influence of your past, you become free to build a healthier relationship with money, one based not on fear, but on clarity, purpose, and genuine fulfillment. Spending is a message. Another powerful lesson from the art of spending money is that spending is rarely just about buying things. More often than we realize, every purchase sends a message. At first, this idea may sound surprising, but once you begin paying attention, you see it everywhere. Many purchases are not made simply because they are useful or necessary. They are made because they communicate something about who we are, or who we want others to believe we are. Consider luxury cars, designer clothing, expensive watches, or enormous houses. Of course, there is nothing wrong with appreciating quality, comfort, or beautiful craftsmanship. A reliable car can make daily life easier. Well-made clothes can boost confidence. A spacious home can improve comfort for an entire family. But many purchases extend beyond practicality. They become symbols that silently tell the world, I am successful, I have status, or I belong among the wealthy. This is the hidden language of spending. We often believe we are purchasing products, while in reality we are buying symbols. We hope our possessions will earn admiration, respect, or approval. Without saying a single word, we want others to notice our achievements and recognize our success. The object itself becomes less important than the image it creates. Unfortunately, this desire for recognition can quietly take control of our financial decisions. Morgan Housel explains one of the greatest paradoxes of wealth. The more money you spend trying to appear wealthy, the less wealth you actually possess. Every dollar used to maintain an image is a dollar that cannot be invested, saved, or used to create financial freedom. True wealth is often invisible. It is the expensive car you decided not to buy, the unnecessary upgrade you refused, the investments quietly growing in the background, and the savings account that gives you peace of mind. The problem is that invisible wealth rarely receives applause. Nobody congratulates you for having an emergency fund. Few people admire your investment portfolio or praise you for avoiding debt. Society celebrates visible consumption while overlooking the quiet discipline that creates lasting prosperity. As a result, many people sacrifice genuine financial security in exchange for temporary social recognition. They choose attention today instead of freedom tomorrow. This creates a dangerous cycle. As income grows, spending often grows alongside it. A higher salary leads to a bigger house, a newer car, more luxurious vacations, expensive gadgets, and an increasingly costly lifestyle. From the outside, everything appears successful. Yet behind the scenes, financial pressure quietly increases. More income no longer creates more freedom because every additional dollar is immediately committed to maintaining a more expensive image. The most exhausting part of status-driven spending is that the race never ends. There will always be someone driving a newer luxury vehicle, living in a larger home, wearing a more prestigious brand, or enjoying a lifestyle that appears even more glamorous. If your happiness depends on being admired, satisfaction remains permanently out of reach. Every achievement is temporary because someone else will always seem one step ahead. Status spending also becomes addictive because admiration fades quickly. A new luxury purchase attracts attention for a short time, but people soon move on. What once felt extraordinary quickly becomes ordinary, not only to others but also to you. The excitement disappears, leaving behind the desire for another purchase capable of recreating that same emotional high. Without realizing it, many people become trapped in an endless cycle of buying, adapting, and wanting more. Morgan Housel is not suggesting that we should never enjoy beautiful or expensive things. There is absolutely nothing wrong with purchasing something that genuinely improves your life or brings lasting happiness. The important question is, who are you buying it for? Are you making this purchase because it truly reflects your own values, or because you hope someone else will admire you? That single distinction changes everything. Before making an expensive purchase, ask yourself a simple but revealing question: would I still want this if nobody else could ever see it? Would you buy the same luxury car if no one knew you owned it? Would you choose the same designer watch if the logo disappeared? Would you still book the same vacation if you could never post photos online? These questions separate authentic desire from social performance. Wise spending begins with complete honesty. The goal is not to look rich but to become financially free. Sometimes the greatest use of money is not the purchase itself but the money you decide to keep. Every dollar saved, invested, or protected quietly buys future opportunities, greater independence, and peace of mind. Those invisible decisions rarely attract attention, but they build a kind of wealth that no luxury item can replace. Ultimately, real wealth does not need an audience. It does not require applause or constant validation. The richest life is often surprisingly quiet. It is built on freedom rather than appearance, security rather than comparison, and purpose rather than prestige. When you stop using money to impress others and begin using it to strengthen your own life, spending becomes something entirely different. It is no longer about proving your value to the world. It becomes a powerful tool for creating a life that genuinely feels rich from the inside out. The joy of spending always fades. Another essential lesson from the art of spending money is that the happiness we experience after buying something is almost always temporary. At first, every new purchase feels exciting. It brings pleasure, satisfaction, and sometimes even pride. But as time passes, those emotions gradually fade until what once seemed extraordinary becomes completely ordinary. This simple psychological truth explains why so many people continue chasing more possessions without ever feeling permanently fulfilled. Think back to a time when money was limited. During those periods, even small purchases could feel incredibly meaningful. Buying your favorite meal, replacing an old pair of shoes, or enjoying a weekend getaway created genuine excitement. Because these experiences were rare, you appreciated them deeply. You noticed every detail and enjoyed every moment because they represented something special rather than something routine. However, as your income grows, something subtle begins to happen. The treats that once felt extraordinary slowly become your new normal. The coffee you used to enjoy only on special occasions becomes part of your everyday routine. The restaurant you once dreamed of visiting becomes your regular Friday night destination. The expensive phone that thrilled you during the first week eventually becomes just another device you barely notice. This psychological process is known as hedonic adaptation, and it affects nearly every aspect of human life. Our minds are remarkably good at adjusting to new levels of comfort. What once felt luxurious eventually feels ordinary. As soon as something becomes familiar, it loses much of its emotional impact. We stop appreciating it because it is no longer different. It simply becomes part of our daily reality. This is one of the biggest traps in personal finance. As income increases, expectations usually increase at exactly the same pace. We convince ourselves that the next upgrade will finally make us happier. We replace the car, renovate the house, buy newer gadgets, take more expensive vacations, and continue raising our standard of living. But every improvement eventually becomes our new baseline, and the cycle begins all over again. This endless pursuit is often called the consumer treadmill. Like someone running on a treadmill, we keep moving forward without actually getting anywhere. We earn more, spend more, and acquire more possessions, yet our overall happiness remains surprisingly unchanged. Instead of feeling wealthier, we simply become accustomed to a more expensive lifestyle that now requires even more income to maintain. The problem is not that beautiful things are bad. There is nothing wrong with enjoying quality, comfort, or success. The real challenge is that human beings adapt incredibly fast. Today's luxury quickly becomes tomorrow's necessity. Once our expectations rise, returning to a simpler lifestyle often feels like losing something, even when our quality of life remains objectively excellent. This is why lifestyle inflation is so dangerous. Lifestyle inflation happens when every increase in income automatically leads to higher spending. A promotion encourages us to upgrade our car. A salary increase convinces us to move into a more expensive neighborhood. Higher earnings justify more luxurious vacations, designer clothing, premium subscriptions, and increasingly costly habits. Gradually, our financial obligations expand alongside our income. From the outside, this appears to be progress. In reality, it often creates a new form of financial pressure. Instead of working to improve our future, we begin working simply to maintain our current lifestyle. Luxuries quietly transform into necessities. Once that happens, freedom starts disappearing. We are no longer earning money to build options. We are earning money to support an increasingly expensive routine. Morgan Housel argues that one of the greatest financial skills is learning how to manage your expectations instead of constantly increasing them. If your desires grow every time your income grows, you may never truly feel wealthy regardless of how much you earn. There will always be another upgrade, another purchase, another milestone that promises happiness but delivers only temporary excitement. The opposite approach creates extraordinary financial freedom. Imagine your income steadily increasing while your desires remain relatively stable. Suddenly, the gap between what you earn and what you spend begins to widen. That gap becomes savings. Those savings become investments. Those investments become freedom. Instead of financing endless consumption, your money starts working to create security, independence, and long-term peace of mind. Perhaps the rarest form of wealth is the ability to continue enjoying simple pleasures even after becoming financially successful. Someone who still appreciates a quiet evening at home, a meaningful conversation, a peaceful walk, or a modest meal possesses something incredibly valuable. They have protected their sensitivity to ordinary joy. Unlike many people who constantly require bigger pleasures to feel satisfied, they have never lost the ability to appreciate enough. This does not mean you should refuse every improvement or deny yourself life's pleasures. Success should absolutely allow you to enjoy greater comfort and better opportunities. The lesson is simply to remain aware of the moment when pleasure quietly transforms into expectation. Because once every luxury becomes normal, the only way to recreate excitement is to keep spending more. Before making your next significant purchase, ask yourself a deeper question than simply, "Can I afford this?" Instead ask, "Will this truly improve my life? Or will it simply raise my expectations? Will this purchase continue bringing value years from now, or will it quickly become another ordinary part of my routine?" That simple question can completely transform the way you spend. Morgan Housel reminds us that one of the greatest financial superpowers is learning to desire less than you can comfortably afford. When your income grows while your desires remain calm, the difference becomes freedom. It becomes financial security, investment opportunities, peace of mind, and the ability to make choices without constant financial pressure. In the end, the happiest people are not always those who own the most impressive things. Very often, they are simply the people who never forgot how to enjoy what is already enough. The internal scorecard versus the external scorecard. One of the most profound ideas in the art of spending money is the distinction between what Morgan Housel calls the internal scorecard and the external scorecard. Although this concept may sound abstract at first, it explains a remarkable number of our financial decisions. Many people believe they spend money according to their own desires, when in reality they are spending to satisfy the expectations, real or imagined, of everyone around them. This hidden influence often leads to some of the most unnecessary and expensive financial choices we ever make. The external scorecard is the habit of measuring success through the eyes of other people. Before making an important purchase, we are no longer asking whether the item will truly improve our lives. Instead, we begin wondering how others will perceive us. Will people think I am successful? Will my friends admire me more? Will my family finally recognize that I have made it? Will social media see my life as impressive? Little by little, our money becomes less about building a better life and more about building a better image. When our financial decisions are controlled by this external scorecard, every purchase becomes a performance. A luxury car is no longer just transportation. It becomes a symbol of achievement. Designer clothing is no longer simply about comfort. It becomes proof of status. Even a house can stop being a place to create memories and instead become a public display of success. Money gradually stops serving our lives and starts serving our reputation. The problem is that other people's opinions are constantly changing. What impresses them today may seem completely ordinary tomorrow. The luxury car that once attracted admiration will eventually be replaced by a newer model. The latest smartphone will soon become outdated. The beautiful home that once felt extraordinary will eventually be compared with someone else's even larger property. When we build our financial lives around outside approval, satisfaction always remains temporary because the standards keep moving. This endless search for validation becomes exhausting because there is no finish line. There will always be someone wealthier, someone more fashionable, someone living in a larger home, driving a more expensive car, or enjoying a more glamorous lifestyle. The more we compare ourselves to others, the easier it becomes to overlook everything we already have. Even a comfortable life can begin to feel inadequate simply because someone else appears to have more. Morgan Housel offers a much healthier alternative, living according to an internal scorecard. Instead of asking, "What will other people think?" we begin asking far more meaningful questions. Will this purchase genuinely improve my life? Will it give me greater peace? More freedom? Better health? Stronger relationships? More happiness? Once our spending aligns with our own values rather than public opinion, our relationship with money changes dramatically. A person guided by an internal scorecard may choose to drive a modest car, not because they cannot afford something more luxurious, but because the simpler car already meets every practical need. They may live in a comfortable but modest home because they value financial freedom more than social status. They may wear ordinary clothes because comfort matters more than expensive labels. From the outside, their life may not seem extraordinary, yet internally they often experience far greater peace than those constantly trying to impress others. Living according to an internal scorecard creates a type of freedom that money alone cannot buy. Once you stop seeking approval through your purchases, you no longer feel pressured to upgrade everything you own. You stop chasing every trend, every new product, and every symbol of success promoted by society. Instead, your financial decisions become simpler because they are guided by your own priorities rather than someone else's expectations. Morgan Housel also reminds us of a surprising truth. Not every desire we experience is genuinely our own. Many of our wants are borrowed from the world around us. Advertising, social media, celebrities, influencers, friends, and even family members constantly shape what we believe we should want. We scroll through someone else's vacation photos and suddenly feel dissatisfied with our own life. We see a neighbor driving a new car, and ours immediately feels old, even though we were perfectly happy with it only moments earlier. This is why comparison is one of the greatest enemies of gratitude. The moment we begin measuring our lives against someone else's, everything we already possess starts to feel less valuable. Our attention shifts away from our blessings and focuses entirely on what appears to be missing. We become blind to our own progress because we are too busy looking at someone else's success. The internal scorecard protects us from this trap. It reminds us that a meaningful life does not need to appear impressive. A peaceful home, strong relationships, financial security, good health, free time, and the ability to sleep without constant stress may never attract admiration from strangers, yet these quiet blessings often create far more happiness than any luxury purchase ever could. The richest life is not necessarily the loudest one. It is often the calmest. Before making your next major purchase, pause and ask yourself one honest question. Does this reflect my values, or does it simply reflect my desire to impress other people? That single question has the power to transform your financial future. It separates genuine needs from borrowed desires and allows your money to become a tool for building your own happiness rather than someone else's approval. Ultimately, the external scorecard leads to pressure, endless comparison, and constant dissatisfaction. The internal scorecard leads to peace, confidence, and genuine financial freedom. One encourages you to spend in order to be admired. The other encourages you to spend in order to create a life that feels deeply fulfilling, even when no one else is watching. And according to Morgan Housel, that quiet inner freedom is one of the greatest forms of wealth anyone can ever achieve. The best thing money can buy is time. After showing that material possessions rarely provide lasting happiness, Morgan Housel asks one of the most important questions in personal finance. If money alone cannot make us happy, then what is the best way to spend it? His answer is surprisingly simple, yet incredibly profound. According to him, one of the highest and wisest uses of money is to buy something that can never be replaced once it is gone. More valuable than luxury cars, designer watches, or magnificent homes, control over your own time is the ultimate form of wealth. Modern society often teaches us that luxury is measured by visible possessions. Expensive cars, prestigious brands, private jets, and multi-million-dollar homes are presented as the symbols of success. While these things may offer comfort and excitement, they do not necessarily create a better life. A person may own all of them while feeling trapped by endless work, overwhelming responsibilities, and constant financial pressure. Meanwhile, someone living much more simply may feel significantly richer because they possess something far more valuable: the freedom to choose how they spend each day. True wealth begins the moment your schedule belongs to you instead of someone else. Imagine waking up without immediately feeling rushed. Imagine choosing when you work, where you work, and how much you work. Imagine having enough time to enjoy breakfast with your family, take care of your health, travel without guilt, or simply enjoy a peaceful afternoon without constantly checking the clock. These ordinary moments may not look impressive on social media, but they represent one of the greatest luxuries money can ever provide. That is why certain expenses, although they may appear ordinary, are actually remarkable investments. Hiring someone to perform tasks that consume your energy and time can dramatically improve your quality of life. Whether it is cleaning your home, handling administrative work, repairing your house, preparing meals, or taking care of responsibilities that leave you exhausted, paying for help is not simply purchasing a service. You are buying back hours of your life, hours you can dedicate to your family, your health, your creativity, or simply your peace of mind. Morgan Housel also emphasizes the extraordinary value of maintaining an emergency fund. At first glance, an emergency fund may seem boring. It does not attract attention. Nobody congratulates you for having cash sitting quietly in a savings account. Unlike a luxury purchase, it receives no admiration from others. Yet during life's most difficult moments, that invisible money becomes one of your greatest sources of freedom. It provides something far more valuable than status. It gives you options. When unexpected problems appear, and sooner or later they always do, financial reserves allow you to respond calmly rather than desperately. Whether you lose your job, face medical expenses, experience a business setback, or encounter a family emergency, savings buy you something priceless. Time to think clearly. Instead of making rushed decisions out of fear, you gain the ability to evaluate your options carefully and choose the path that truly serves your long-term interests. This is one of the greatest forms of financial independence. Without savings, many people remain trapped in jobs they dislike because they simply cannot afford to leave. They tolerate unhealthy workplaces, difficult clients, or exhausting schedules because every paycheck is essential for survival. But when you have financial reserves, your relationship with work changes completely. You gain the confidence to say no, negotiate better opportunities, or even change direction entirely. Savings transform obligation into choice. Investing serves the same purpose on an even larger scale. Many people think investing is only about making money grow. Morgan Housel invites us to see it differently. Every investment is a small purchase of future freedom. Every dollar invested today increases the possibility that one day your money will begin working for you instead of requiring you to work endlessly for it. Investing is not simply about increasing wealth. It is about increasing control over your future. There is an enormous difference between working because you have to and working because you choose to. Someone who depends entirely on every paycheck often experiences constant pressure, even in a career they genuinely enjoy. On the other hand, someone who has achieved financial independence may continue working with just as much passion, but now work becomes a choice rather than a necessity. The activity itself may remain the same, yet the emotional experience changes completely because freedom replaces obligation. This distinction highlights the difference between looking wealthy and living wealthy. Looking wealthy is about appearances. It is measured by visible possessions that attract admiration. Living wealthy is something much deeper. It means having enough financial flexibility to decide how you spend your time, whom you spend it with, and which opportunities you choose to pursue. It means owning your schedule instead of allowing your schedule to own you. Many people possess expensive lifestyles while quietly living inside financial cages. Their luxury homes require enormous mortgages. Their luxury vehicles come with heavy monthly payments. Their high-status lifestyles demand constant income simply to maintain appearances. Ironically, the very possessions that are supposed to symbolize freedom often become the chains that restrict it. Instead of owning their wealth, they become servants to it. By contrast, someone with a simpler lifestyle, healthy savings, manageable expenses, and long-term investments may appear less impressive to outsiders, yet enjoy far greater freedom every single day. They sleep peacefully because they are not overwhelmed by financial pressure. They spend meaningful time with loved ones. They can make decisions based on values instead of fear. Their money quietly works behind the scenes, protecting the life they truly want to live. Morgan Housel is not arguing against enjoying beautiful things. There is absolutely nothing wrong with purchasing comfort, quality, or experiences that genuinely enrich your life. The real question is much deeper than, can I afford this? Instead, ask yourself, will this purchase give me more control over my life? Will it reduce my stress? Will it give me more freedom? Will it help me protect my time? Those questions reveal whether your money is serving your future or merely decorating your present. Every financial decision is ultimately a life decision. Some purchases provide a few moments of admiration. Others create years of independence. A luxury watch may capture attention for a few seconds, but financial freedom can transform the rest of your life. According to Morgan Housel, this is the true art of spending money, not using wealth to prove your value to the world, but using it to reclaim ownership of your own time, your own choices, and ultimately your own life. Conclusion. After exploring every major lesson from the art of spending money, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Mastering money is not simply about earning more. It is about understanding why we spend. For years, we have been taught that financial success is measured by a higher income, a larger investment portfolio, or a growing net worth. While these goals are certainly valuable, Morgan Housel reminds us that an equally important question is often overlooked. What are we actually doing with our money once we have earned it? The answer to that question ultimately determines whether money becomes a tool for freedom or a source of endless pressure. Modern society constantly encourages us to believe that happiness is waiting behind the next purchase. Every day we are surrounded by advertisements, social media posts, and success stories telling us that our current possessions are no longer enough. There is always a newer phone, a faster car, a larger house, a more luxurious vacation, or a lifestyle that appears more desirable than our own. Without realizing it, we begin measuring our worth by what we own instead of by the quality of the life we are actually living. The problem is that this race can never truly be won. Every time we reach one financial milestone, another immediately appears in the distance. The dream car eventually becomes an ordinary car. The perfect house slowly turns into just another home. The salary that once seemed extraordinary soon becomes the new minimum we believe we need. We continue chasing more without ever stopping to ask the most important question of all: more for what? Morgan Housel does not argue that spending money is wrong, nor does he encourage extreme frugality or a life without pleasure. His message is much more balanced. There is absolutely nothing wrong with enjoying the rewards of your hard work. The real challenge is understanding the motivation behind every purchase. Are you spending because something genuinely improves your life, or because you hope it will improve the way other people see you? That single distinction has the power to transform your entire financial future. Throughout this book, we have learned that our childhood experiences quietly shape our financial behavior. We have seen how fear, insecurity, and past hardships often influence our spending long after those difficult circumstances have disappeared. We have discovered that many purchases are actually attempts to communicate status rather than satisfy genuine needs. We have also learned that the excitement created by material possessions fades surprisingly quickly, while freedom, peace, and meaningful experiences continue creating value for years. One of the most important lessons Morgan Housel shares is that real wealth is often invisible. It is not the luxury car parked in the driveway or the expensive watch on someone's wrist. It is the savings quietly sitting in the bank account. It is the investments growing patiently over time. It is the debt that was avoided, the unnecessary purchases that were never made, and the financial flexibility that allows someone to sleep peacefully at night. These invisible decisions rarely attract attention, yet they create the strongest foundation for lasting prosperity. The book also reminds us that the greatest thing money can purchase is not another luxury item. It is control over our own time. Having the freedom to choose how we spend our days, to walk away from unhealthy situations, to care for our loved ones, and to enjoy life without constant financial anxiety represents a form of wealth that no material possession can ever replace. True financial success is not measured by how expensive your lifestyle appears. It is measured by how much freedom your money creates. Another unforgettable lesson is the importance of defining what enough means. If we never decide for ourselves how much is truly enough, the world will gladly make that decision on our behalf. Advertising, social media, celebrities, and comparison will continuously push the finish line farther away. No matter how much we earn or own, we will always feel as though something is missing. But the person who understands the value of enough discovers a kind of peace that endless consumption can never provide. Morgan Housel also encourages us to replace the external scorecard with an internal one. Instead of constantly asking, "What will people think if I buy this?" we should begin asking a far more meaningful question. Will this purchase genuinely improve my life? That simple shift changes everything. Money stops becoming a tool for impressing strangers and starts becoming a tool for creating health, freedom, meaningful experiences, stronger relationships, and lasting peace of mind. Perhaps the greatest lesson of all is that money is an extraordinary servant but a terrible master. When it serves our deepest values, it becomes one of the most powerful tools for building a meaningful life. But when we become servants to money, constantly chasing higher income, greater status, and endless possessions, we often lose the very freedom we hoped wealth would provide. Financial wisdom is not about possessing everything. It is about knowing what truly deserves a place in your life. Before making your next major purchase, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself not only whether you can afford it, but whether it will genuinely move you closer to the life you want to build. Will it bring greater freedom, more peace, better health, more meaningful relationships? Or is it simply another attempt to impress people who will forget about it tomorrow? That single habit can completely reshape your financial future. Ultimately, the art of spending money is about far more than money itself. It is a book about priorities, emotions, happiness, and the choices that shape the quality of our lives. True wealth is not measured by the number of luxury items we accumulate. It is measured by the freedom we enjoy, the peace we protect, the time we control, and the confidence that comes from no longer needing to prove our success to anyone else. When your money begins serving your values instead of your ego, you are no longer simply becoming wealthier, you are becoming wiser. Thank you for listening to this book summary. If these ideas have changed the way you think about money, spending, and happiness, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another life-changing book summary. And before you leave, let us know in the comments. What is one thing you have stopped spending money on because it no longer adds real value to your life? Your answer might inspire someone else to make a better financial decision. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and always remember, money is not meant to help you buy more things. It is meant to help you build a life that truly feels rich.